Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clouser, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. Today I'm joined with another one of the amazing individuals I've met through Positive Coaching Alliance, Anthony Henderson, who's joining me from South Florida today. Anthony, thanks for joining me.
Hey, man, it's truly a pleasure, Dan. I really thank you for the opportunity to be a part of your platform. Look, I'm excited. I've been looking forward to it the entire weekend.
Awesome. Again, just this connection and conversations we've had offline outside of our, official PCA meetings, there's really a connection. Again, you and I are both in training, so we're not even officially part of the organization yet. I mean, I guess we are, but we don't have that certificate yet saying
we have that stamp.
Yeah. So that's what we're working toward. But tell my listeners and viewers a little bit about Anthony Henderson. I know you do some motivational speaking. You're very involved in your community. Obviously, you're a coach. Just give a little background to the folks listening.
Well, I'm to keep it very simple, Dan. I am a hope dealer, HOPE. Some of you may find that crazy and amusing, but there's enough dope dealers in the world. I figure, why not be a hope dealer? They call me crazy, but I really and truly believe in the greatness of humanity. What I really and truly do is I help business owners be the absolute best version of themselves, by giving them inspiration, by giving them motivation, by giving them success principles to actually help them take their life both professionally as well as business, as well as personally, to a whole nother
level. That's awesome. I love that concept of being a hope dealer, because there's definitely one thing this world needs. It's hope, without a doubt. So,
hope. I'm reminded of a scripture that says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick." If you think about what we're dealing with today as a country, Dan, it's really and truly boils down to a heart problem. The heart of the problem is a problem of the human heart. And I'm only 51 years young, but one thing I do know is when you change a man's heart, or a woman's heart for that matter, you change their behavior. So I'm very grateful for men and women such as yourself that truly get it and understand that we all have some heart problems from time to time. Some of them are murmurs, some of them are full-blown heart attacks, but we all got heart problems. And until we can look in the mirror and be real, candid, and transparent with ourselves, we're going to still have this foolishness going on. But again, I'm grateful as well as optimistic that we're trending in the right
direction. I agree, and I think that's such a key component there. And I've said this in some of the other conversations I've had about this topic. But when you really start looking at race and racial tensions, we immediately want to put politics into it. And yes, politics are a part of it, but the core of the problem, it really comes down to a human problem. It's humanity problems, just like what you said. It's a heart problem. And until we get people to start just recognizing others as fellow human beings, regardless of how they may talk differently, how they may look differently, what the color of their skin is, that's where we've got to get to as a society to really overcome this problem. And that's something that we don't need legislation to do that. We don't need legislation to treat each other like good human beings, So, and I think, one of the things I want to accomplish with some of these podcasts where we're talking about this topic is, to just break down that initial fear of reaching out to someone that doesn't look like you and just having a good, candid, heart-to-heart conversation about, hey, man, how are you feeling through all this? And then at that point, shut up, So I'm going to ask that question to you right now, Anthony. Hey, man, how are you feeling through all this? And I'm zipping it.
Dan, I am, being an inspirational speaker by trade, I'm an eternal optimist. But again, I'm 51 years young, so I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot as a minority, as a Black man in this country, and I've grown a lot. And for me, this feels different. And I mean that in a positive way, because the diversity of the individuals, the men and women that are actually involved in the movement, in the Black Lives Matter, and bringing about a positive change for our country and our nation. That for me is just so really and truly refreshing. When you have organizations that just really are refusing to do it the way they used to do it, and they're drawing a line in the sand. It's like, hey, the buck stops here. When you have tattoo artists that are willing to remove or cover up a tattoo that has a Confederate flag or a Nazi sign, or anything that may be creating separatism, or elite type of thought processes. I just heard it today this morning on the news. This tattoo artists that are for free. Because and they're giving their part, and yeah, we for those of you that are business owners, I get it. We all have bills to pay and things of that nature. But when you can give to change the generational, to change the trajectory of decades decades of just straight foolishness, that's good, man, and that's refreshing. I think about what you said a little bit earlier about humanity. And one of the problems in this country is that we've placed things before or above humanity. And the reality is that nothing should trump humanity. Nothing. Race should not trump humanity. Your political affiliation should not trump humanity. Religion or faith should not trump humanity. I mean, there's one race, and that is the human race. And we are communal people. God created us to be communal in nature. He said, it's not good for man and woman to be alone. So he wants us to be together. Now, another harsh reality is that it's so easy to be around people that look like you. Okay, that's the easy part. Okay, so we got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. All right, and it's not easy. I get it, because the reality, like I said, is it's much more comfortable. And if you're honest with yourself, you would admit that it's so much easier to be around, to fellowship, or to converse with individuals that look like yourself. Okay, that's the fact. Okay, but we grow, we develop, we become better. And I think we all want to get better, right? Who doesn't want to get better? I think we become better as a society, as a nation, definitely, when we're able to see that, hey, we're really and truly more alike than we are different, right? Because there are differences. But the reality is we're more alike than we are different. And in the United States of America in particular, we may have came over here in different ships, but right now in 2020, my friend, we're all in the same boat. All right, so let's get them oars out together. Let's put in the work. Let's get better.
I agree. Couldn't have put that better. And again, it is so important. And I think one of the issues, and there's so many layers to this issue that each one of these podcasts, I'm only peeling back one layer of the onion that to talk about it. But
one thing about onions, when you peel them back, you're gonna cry a little bit.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Right? You're gonna cry a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I mean, that's the road with crying, man. One person asked me, it was like, well, blacks have been getting murdered and killed and these officers for forever. What's the difference about this one? And I said, well, if you think about a lot of shootings, they're a lot quicker. They're shot and da-da-da. When you think about the George Floyd video, it was almost 9 minutes that you see this lynching, this murder. And if you have any fiber of humanness in you, you can't help but be affected. I mean, that just messed up my entire day. That I think it was a Tuesday morning that it was sent to me. I was done for hours. I really couldn't even focus, to respond to people or really do anything. But it definitely moved me. It served as impetus. One of my videos, which I think you had the opportunity to watch, called Racial Tension, a bystander intervention and different things of that nature. So it's unfortunate, but I think good is going to come out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think this is different. I definitely feel optimistic, like you do, that changes in the air. And I will, that video that you did right after, the George Floyd death, murder, was very powerful. And I'm going to share it in the comments when I post this, because I think it's something that, everybody should watch, without a doubt, because you just spoke so compassionately about it. And, just made some incredible points throughout that video. So I'm definitely going to put that link in this podcast as well on the YouTube channel, so that people can see it and, take a look at it for themselves. But, when you start talking about, trying to get people in the same room together, I think one of our biggest obstacles right now is that, school segregation ended back in, the mid 60s, late 50s, but did it really, that's my question. Did it really? I mean, my graduating high school class here in Pennsylvania, there were 0 people of color in my graduating class. My entire school, when I got there in 9th grade, I moved from another school district in 9th grade. There were 2 black kids in our entire school, high school population from 9th to 12th grade. One of them at that time was a senior, the other was a junior. So by the time I entered my junior year of high school, there was no one else that didn't look like me. And again, I had told you before, I'd lived in Palm Bay, Florida for 4 years and went from 4th grade to 9th grade to school in Florida. And the middle school that I attended was probably 65 to 70% black student population, so, looking back, I find how much of a gift that was for me, to be able to get into a diverse school. And then I come back to Pennsylvania, and, the first school I go to in 9th grade in Pennsylvania, again, not a single black kid in the building. And then I moved to another one that's got, 2 black kids when I start and none by the time we ended. So, this isn't a problem that you and I are going to solve today. But, from your perspective, like, how do we start to get past that? Like we are still in segregated schools, let's swallow it.
Absolutely. And a lot of that, Dan, it can be attributed to redlining. Which is something that you are very familiar with. We've had that discussion, previously about redlining. A lot of that has to do with the census. And for those of you that have not filled out your census forms as of yet, please do so. It gives the government an idea of who's where and what's what, and who gets the money, and gets the funding for the, different educational items and tools that are needed to educate our youth. But in regards to diversity, man, I feel it's something that has to be intentional. I remember growing up, I reside in South Florida, so I went to high school. In 9th grade, it was Deerfield Beach High School, which at the time was predominantly black. It was mixed. It was Spanish, it was whites there. But when I moved to Boca Raton, Florida, and it was a big difference. Predominantly all white town, first and foremost. And then in high school, my graduating class, we were the first 4-year graduating class. Most of the blacks that attended Spanish River High School in Boca Raton were then from Delray Beach, Florida, which is a neighboring city. My family, we were one of the only black families that actually lived in Boca Raton. Now, I remember getting ready to go to school and get on the bus the first day of school, and I walked out and looked on the sidewalk, some eggs on the sidewalk. And, so apparently someone was trying to egg our house, but that didn't deter me. I went to the bus stop, got on the bus, ended up, being, varsity athlete, very popular, honor student. Most of my classes were with, I may have been one of maybe one or maybe 2, 3 blacks in most of my classes. But again, because I was an athlete, and an honor student, I was able to kind of benefit or not be affected as much, I should say. But you still did see the racism. My high school coach, the 9th grade years, black gentleman. And I remember our last game of the year. I remember hearing in the stands, one of the parents say, enjoy this game. This is going to be your last game. And, sure enough, that was his last game. He was a black guy, and it was like whatever this white parent or predominantly Jewish community said, that's what happened. Now, fast forward 30-some years later, same school, Spanish River High School, just this year, 2020, one of my fraternity brothers was the principal. I went to college with him, okay, Dr. William Latson. He actually took school from an A school. He got up to a 98% graduation rate, which is the highest in the school's history. So many other accolades I can give to what this man did. But he just a few months ago was fired. And it was more of a political thing because the primary population at the school is a Jewish community. And with any school district, there are curriculums you have to do, the diversity and things of that nature. And so there was a particular parent who wanted this particular book to be taught to the students. Okay? And Mr. Latson, Dr. Latson was like, listen, that may be a great book. The students may benefit from it, but I have to do what the school board says. So there's curriculums, I have to present that. And he wouldn't just bow and cower to this particular parent or this particular community. And ultimately, they trumped up some things and basically said that, made it seem as though he said that the Holocaust never happened. Some bunch of foolishness. He ended up getting fired. But, he's in a legal battle right now. And, any day now, he more than likely is going to be compensated financially. But that has affected his career. You know what I mean? Now he has to, go out and look for something else. And he's the same age as I am, 51, 52 years young with teenage kids. And, it just shows how race and how when you don't have people who speak up and actually fight for you, not just an ally, but an advocate. Okay, you and I've had this discussion in the past as well, because it's easy to be an ally. You and I on a Zoom call right now, but there's gonna be some times, Dan, when I'm not in the room, right? Anthony's not there. Your other African American or black male, friend or ally or coach or teammate or player is not gonna be in the room. So when that off-colored joke is told, or when you see that this ain't right, or are you going to be silent? Because the time is always right to do what's right. So for those of you, allies, I strongly ask of you to also be advocates. Don't get silent when we're not there, because that's when we really need you. Because most blacks, we can talk for ourselves. We have a problem expressing ourselves and communicating. But when we're not there, what are you doing?
Yeah, again, I think that's very important as well, and something I've mentioned on Zoom calls that we've been together on. Something that just in conversations you and I have had personally, and the reason I've chosen to address this topic in a series of podcasts here is that it's no longer okay to just be an ally, and it's no longer okay to just be someone who is not racist and doesn't condone that activity. We now have to actually speak up against it. And again, I feel very fortunate that I was raised by parents who taught me to, treat everyone as an equal. I've gone through my life, with that philosophy. I've, again, put myself, in rooms that, of people that don't look like me, intentionally. But even now, as I look back, that wasn't enough. We do have to speak up and say, look, this is wrong. This is wrong. And, you can talk about, freedom of speech and the First Amendment, but, hate does not qualify as freedom of speech. And that's when, we've got
It's where the rubber meets the road.
Yep.
I never heard it stated quite that eloquently. Hate is not freedom of speech, because this country as you know, it's kind of founded on those precepts, right? Say what you want, do what you want. But again, I think we have to have criteria, and hate does not qualify. When it's hateful, when it's hurtful, when it's harmful, when it's not good, that's not freedom of speech. And thank you so much. And I just want to take a moment to applaud you and the seeds you planted in your kids, which eventually flowed over to your grandson. That letter that you sent to me of a 14-year-old boy, again, it brought tears to my eyes, man. It really and truly touched me, because it's someone that gets it, and it lets me know that the future's bright. Future's bright, man, because, I was getting ready to say they don't see race, but you should see color, but you should see color, because there are colors. Okay. I understand the intent when people say they don't see color, but no, see the color, but just don't treat them differently. Treat everybody equally, treat everybody the same, give everybody the same opportunities. And most, whether it's Black, whether it's Spanish, I don't think anybody wants to be given anything. I just think most people just want an opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. And I think obviously you and I, both have sports backgrounds, and I think that's been, the one beauty of sport is that it is a level playing field. And, like you said, one of the reasons that, you ended up being accepted at your high school where you were, a tiny minority is because of your, athletic.
Athlete.
Yeah. So I think, the more we can break that down, and get kids, again, of different races and cultures and backgrounds in the same room, on the same field. And let's face it, even in youth sports, one thing that, has started to widen that gap again now is the economics of youth sports. We're now, as great of an athlete as you were when you were in high school, today you might not have had the same opportunities as back then. Because, when you and I grew up, and I'm going to be turning 51 this year as well in about a month. It was just, if you were good, you were good. It didn't matter if mom and dad made a 6-figure income, and believe me, I've been involved in travel sports. I love travel sports. I think there's a place for it. But again, we've tilted the scales, where we're starting to we're starting to exclude some. And that's something we need to address. And hopefully as we come out of COVID here, and seeing how youth sports rebounds, maybe that's one of the things where we can level that playing field again. Because that really is, the area. I've said it for years, sports, music, and the arts are, the three things where
And bring everybody together.
they bring them together.
They're the great equalizers.
Absolutely. One of my favorite musicians growing up was B.B. King, and, it's one of those things where we really just got to get people in the room together and be willing to have these conversations. And, maybe we're going to say something that's going to make one of us uncomfortable, and that's okay. That's okay. That's part of the conversation,
And that's part of learning. A person can't do what they don't know. I mean, if you think about it from a coaching standpoint, if you tell me something, I forget. Show me, I remember. You involve me, I understand. Right? So it's a threefold process. So I think that's part of the diversity and inclusion that we have to be mindful of. You can, which is good. That's the first step. Then show me. Okay, give examples of such and such. And then once you involve the person, hey, what would you do if this was in this situation? How would you handle this? And it's okay to make mistakes. One of the things I shared in our call with Positive Coaching Clients, I think it was last week, I'm like, listen, my white family, because I call you all family, because the reality is you can't choose your relatives, you can't choose your blood, you can choose your family. And I think, look at, the individuals in this organization as family. And so with your family, uh, people are going to say things that you may not agree with, and that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. Right? As sooner that everybody gets that, I think things will become a lot easier. It's like, well, gosh, they didn't like my post. Any likes in social media? Oh my God, everybody's chasing likes. I'm like, listen, don't chase likes. It's not about being, like, look at the views. When people are viewing it, not everyone's gonna like it. But if it's truth, just let truth. I'm reminded of Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth.
Very
Some
true.
people can't handle the truth. Truth hurts sometimes, but truth is a healer. Truth is a healer, and it just makes everybody better. So, the best that we can with what we have and what we know, just try to be true, try to be authentic, try to be loving, first and foremost, understanding and kind. Kindness is that language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see. Okay, so if you're kind to people, they get it and they see it. So thank you, Dan Clouser, for being kind. Thank you for inviting me to be part of your platform.
No, I appreciate it. And again, that is so, so important. All those points you made. I want to bring up as well the one email that you sent out after our one meeting last week. You'd mentioned to the team that this is a marathon relay. And just, I want you to elaborate on that because, what you said there is so, so poignant.
Yes, family, listen. Right now in 2020, this is a marathon relay. And, being a youth sports coach, being an athlete, many of you I do a lot of analogies to help people's understanding of the point. So when you think of a relay, most relays are short distances. You got a 4x1, 4x4 track relay, and, it may take a minute, may take 4 minutes, that sort of thing, maybe an hour tops for most relays. Where marathons, on the other hand, they take a while. It take a couple hours. They can even take days. And I want us to understand that this is a relay marathon, okay, or a marathon relay. And what I mean by that is we're talking about systemic racism, which has been hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of years being established. So it's not going to be done tomorrow. It's not going to be killed or eradicated in a month. It's going to take some time. All right, but understand that we're on the same team. And in any kind of relay, once you run your lap and you get tired, just say stick. That's what somebody's gonna take that stick and they're gonna run. They're gonna run the race. And then you can get out. You can rest. You can get your second win, do whatever you need to do. But once you got your second win, get back in the race. Because it's a relay marathon. All right. And you're important and we need you in the race.
That is so important, and I think that the other component of that is, like you said, we do need to take a break. There's times where you can get burnt out doing this. So that balance and that self care. Before we started recording, we talked about our weekends, and I spent the weekend on very little watching news and watching social media and that sort of stuff. And it's just, it's a
Cleansing.
battery recharge.
Listen, Dan, if you don't mind, I'd like to just briefly talk about that. The media, the news, TV, I think most of you have heard the phrase, you are what you eat. You become what you expose yourself to. Anthony, are you saying I shouldn't watch the news? No, I'm not saying that. But don't make that your your 3 meals of your day. Okay, get the little content and then cut that crap off. Because what it's gonna do is gonna affect your countenance and affect your spirit, man or woman, and how you ultimately begin to feel, how you ultimately begin to see other people. And not everything that you see is real, okay, or non-biased. All right, so I'm reminded of this movie, and some of you may have seen it, The Birth of a Nation. Okay. And that movie was basically, if you were to watch it as a white person, you'd think that I was the devil. Anybody with melanin in their skin, you think was a murderer, a rapist, all things negative and bad, because that was what that movie depicted. Right. But that's not the reality. Are there some Black people that are murderers and rapists? Yes. But there are some whites that are the same way. And what we got to understand is that, white is not always right. And there are some times when Black is straight whack. Okay. But, that's it. And you deal with those people in those particular situations accordingly, but don't lump sum everybody. All right. And I think that what we see is we got some leadership, not all, some leadership that are representing all that's bad in our country. And, so just, do the right thing.
Yeah, don't we love doing that as a society, is just painting with a broad stroke, all this is good, all this is bad. And that's just not the way it is. And we do not live in a society of black and white. We live in a society of all kinds of shades of gray,
Yes, indeed.
And that's the thing that if by doing these podcasts, we can get people to start having those conversations and talking about the grays and understanding. I mean, even, it's not about, I truly believe that we are a country made up much more of those in the middle as opposed to the far left or the far right.
Or the far right. Yes.
And unfortunately, it's the far left and far right who have the biggest mouths. So those of us in the middle, we need to start speaking up, because that is not our view. That is not our view. We are in here. And I really, truly believe there are a lot more of us in here. It's just, we're a lot quieter. And now we gotta speak up about it. So we're just about out of time, Anthony, but I got that one last question for you. Again, the subtitle of this podcast is Many Little People in Many Little Places. And again, derived from a Michael Franti song called Gloria, where the opening lyrics go, when many little people in many little places do many little things and the whole world changes. So, what are one of those little things that Anthony Henderson is doing to help make the world a better place today?
Well, what I do is I continue to let the light of God shine in me and through me. And I do that in several ways. I do it on my social media platforms through daily posts. And I try to keep them as positive, as inspiring, as motivational as I can. But I also keep it real, because life is not always unicorns and rainbows. So I try to keep it real, but I also try to maintain a balance. And, just help people be the absolute best version of themselves, because we're all stars and we've been created.
That's awesome. You cut out a little bit there at the end, so I'll repeat it. Anthony said, we're all stars and we were created to shine. So Anthony, I absolutely love having you on. Want to give you the opportunity to give a little bit of plug. You are a motivational speaker. You've got your own social media platforms, your own YouTube channel. How can people reach out and follow?
I can be found pretty much on every social media platform: Facebook, Anthony Henderson, Facebook, Inspiration Station, which is my company, Inspiration Station. LinkedIn, same thing, Anthony Henderson or Inspiration Station. Instagram, my name, Anthony Henderson, number 2 on Instagram. Let's see what else is there. I think I got everything except Twitter. Twitter's the only thing I'm not on, and I probably will eventually get on it. It's just that I feel some kind of way about Twitter right.
I feel you there. I am on Twitter, but it is probably
I do have a YouTube channel as well, just Anthony Henderson or Inspiration. And it's great content, man. And I just try to, I'm not a perfect man, but I'm a very spiritual man. And I just, try to help people be the absolute best version of themselves.
I love it. Well, again, thank you very much for joining me. And folks out there listening, be sure to check out my former podcasts and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Website is danclouser.com. Anthony, again, thank you for everything you're doing.
You know what? I forgot my website, man.
Give it up.
It's Inspiration Station. Inspiration Station 2. InspirationStation2.com is my
All right.
website.
I will. I'll put all that in the bottom so people can check it out. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. And I said, next time you and I do a podcast, it's going to be in South Florida. RV sitting in the driveway in front of your house.
My brother from another mother. I've already told my wife about you. You know, we got a guest bedroom. You know, so when you come, you get out the RV and come inside and actually sleep in a full-size bed. You know, you and your wife, nice shower, you have your own room, your own accommodations, and yeah,
Looking forward to it. So, thanks again, Anthony. And like I said, don't be surprised when you get that text saying we're in South Florida. So again, everybody, thanks for listening.